dare I go here, DC films in the 90s.
Were there any DC films in the 90s?
I don't remember them.
Well,
none that stuck out in my mind. I mean, I think there were a couple Vertigo films, weren't there?
Well, you think when did Batman come out? Not the Keaton Batman.
Oh, the Batman. See,
No.
Nothing that really stuck in my mind.
See, because the Tim Burton Batman,
yes,
of 87 or 88,
yeah,
loved it.
Yeah, Michael Keaton was great. Yes.
Batman
Nicholson as Joker. Yeah.
Batman Returns, I did not like.
With
Michelle Pfeiffer
DeVito and Pfeiffer.
Danny DeVito. I do not like Michelle Pfeiffer. I like Danny DeVito.
I like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze.
I'll get there. I did not like Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't like that. Don't like her. Danny DeVito, I like him. He was great, but they wrote it weird
was not
to me.
well written.
Yeah.
Paul Rubens is Oswald's father.
Yeah, and then we go to Batman Forever.
It felt like it was forever.
I actually like that one. Only because, and, not Val Kilmer.
No.
It's because they actually showed Batman being a detective.
Yes.
They had the Riddler, which wasn't all that great either, nor was Two-Face. But they had him being a detective and figuring out the codes.
Right.
I mean, that, to me, made up for everything else that was bad. And then there was Batman and Robin.
Holy rusted metal, Batman.
What?
The metal. It's rusted. Has holes in it.
Oh.
That has got to be the awfulest. I think
nipples.
the entire... Yes, Bat Nipples was the moment where people just cringed.
And then there was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold.
Freeze. Chill.
These one-liners.
I mean,
Chill out now.
The darkness and the awesome character that Mr. Freeze is, and they just lampooned it.
Oh, it was awesome.
I mean, they lampooned it. Because I do think Mr. Freeze, when done right, can be an excellent Batman villain. Because there is that struggle of he is doing something bad because of something good.
Yeah.
And that, they lampooned it. Bane, they lampooned it.
I think the core problem, all the way up until the very late 90s and early 2000s, is the people who make these films do not love the source material. They do not appreciate the source material.
You're right.
Oh, kind of like Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan doesn't like the source material. He stated that. That's the reason he said there would be no, wonky superpowers in my movie. There would be no wonky villains. That's the reason Bane went from being a drug-addled meathead to being, an orphaned meathead.
Oh, man.
I mean, I do think the Dark Knight series was a much better series than the Tim Burton started series.
Well, by and large, most of the new films have been made by folks who at least have an appreciation for the source material. Not counting Nolan, at least he got a decent director if he wasn't a fan of the source material. Because actually, I like Nolan's work.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about the work itself. I do agree that the work was great. It was fantastic. As a Batman fan, I really enjoyed it. But the fact that he said that he was going to disregard source material because he didn't like it and change what the characters and what the story was, that irritated me. Now, I'm not denying that those movies weren't great, because they were. By all means, they're probably the best DC movies that have been made.
Yeah.
What about non-specific material? Comics turned into, like, independent comics.
Constantine.
Or even Watchmen, Alan Moore stuff.
V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta?
I watched that the other
Did you
day.
finally see V for Vendetta?
Yes, I did. I got it from my local library and watched it. And oh my God.
I thought you'd enjoy
I ought to
it.
kick myself in the butt for not watching that much sooner.
Yeah, it was an excellent film.
Very good.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Watchmen was great.
Watchmen, I mean, that is probably the closest to the source material that we have ever gotten out of a movie.
I would have to say Sin City is just there on par with source material.
Agreed.
For the storyboard.
Yeah, and you know what? I've never... Before...
Same with 300.
Yes, agreed.
I watched the movies and never read the Sin City books. I'm now currently reading all the Sin City books. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that they're almost panel for panel the exact same as the movies.
Yeah.
As is 300 and Watchmen.
Yeah. I find kind of curious that especially with regards to Sin City and 300 being very closely, almost exactly frame for frame as it was in the comic book, concerning that they're all works by Frank Miller.
I mean, that very well may have something to do with it.
Well, not that, and the fact that Robert Rodriguez is also he's friends with Quentin Tarantino, and they are known for their very outgoing source material and choices of filming. So when Quentin said, well, why don't you just use the graphic novel? And Rodriguez goes, well, can we do that? And they said, Miller said, yeah, here it is, and I want a part of it. Let me be a cameo in the first part.
Even to the point that for the second one, from my understanding, Frank Miller wrote a story specifically for the second Sin City movie.
Yeah.
Which is just awesome.
Yeah.
Because it takes something that we fans like and says, here, this is just for you.
This is just for you.
Because anybody that's never read the books, and now I am, would never know that story was not written in the comic
original canon.
Yes. So.
That's just like From Hell. Okay?
Yes.
It's one of the most decent, even though its subject matter is horrific and graphic Victorian death, it's probably one of the better Johnny Depp films.
Agreed.
Because of the subject matter. With the Ripper.
But I've never read the From Hell graphic novel, so I don't know how closely it.
Pick it up. It's
yeah.
Was that an Alan Moore?
Yes.
Alan Moore. Yeah.
Which is being turned into a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alan Moore's a prickly fellow. He hated what they did with V for Vendetta.
Yeah. He hated the League of Gentlemen too. He hated that.
Who could blame him?
It had some redeeming qualities.
He hated what they did with From Hell.
Yeah, he didn't
However,
like that.
I don't think he had much to complain about with Watchmen.
No. He actually stopped them from actually releasing it for a while. They didn't want the film to be released at all, and then he lost the lawsuit against the film company, and he goes, oh, okay, fine, I got my money worth out of it. You heard me talk. Go ahead and release it.
Yeah.
But you got to pay me royalties. And so the money went out, and he's over himself.
He's not over himself.
He's full of himself, is what he is. But he's such an interesting writer. He is dichotomy opposed as Gaiman is as a writer to independent, veins of theory and writing. Okay, because Neil Gaiman did all of the Sandman stuff and the Dreaming and all the Vertigo issues. And he actually helped write a lot of the stuff for Constantine. Okay, and then you end up with Alan Moore, who is just as much out there. Okay, but who hates everything he's ever touched. That they want to adapt. He goes, no, you can never do my stuff justice. Stop trying.
I'm sorry.
That actually is a question that I'm curious about. Does Alan Moore actually not own his work? Because if he's the one who owns his work, then why in the hell is he licensing it to movie companies if he doesn't think they can do a decent job of it?
Well, I think like Watchmen and...
or is it the fact that they just wave enough green at him and he forgets his principles for a moment?
No, I think a few of his graphic novels were...
work for hire.
Exactly. DC went to him. Vertigo went to him.
I see.
Said, we're looking for something. So they basically commissioned.
Yeah.
They basically commissioned him, from my understanding. Now, I do know that there are some titles that he, did on his own that I don't know how they got.
Well, it's independent companies will come in and go, hey, we're looking for a really good script, and you've written all these other movies that have come out. What do you have just laying around? That's kind of how Mike Mignola ended up, agreeing with Del Toro to do Hellboy. It was just something they wanted to do, And Guillermo said, "Okay, I want your product. I want a license. I want to do your film. I want to direct it." And Mike's like, "It's not enough. There's not enough people to do. They're fans of Hellboy. No, there's enough that there's a following that it's part of the whole Guillermo element, with like Pan's Labyrinth or with The Mimic, that they did all those other strange films. I mean, he being involved with The Strain on television, the man's mind is out there, and so he's got enough followings in the film, world to make anything he touches workable. And now that's why Hellboy was as successful as it was for the first and second film. It had all